going on, everybody? Thomas here from That Money Guy. I'm so excited to be coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Texas, Tejas, the Lone Star State. A state that has always been on my heart. A state I love, a state that is gorgeous and beautiful, even though I've never been there before. I grew up watching movies about Texas, westerns, the Alamo, you name it, I saw it. Great, beautiful state that is so fascinating to me. But today I wanted to make a little video about the economy of Texas. Nothing too crazy or specific. I just wanted to kind of go over what we can expect and forecast going forward. Now, as I'm sure most of you have heard, we have a situation brewing in Texas with a big hurricane hitting Texas. Now, the hurricane is called Hurricane Laura, and it is supposedly one of the worst hurricanes that we have seen in our history. And that has caused a lot of stress and worry, especially amongst small business owners in Texas. But what we have seen is that there's actually some very good news coming out of Texas. Texas' economy is very stable by comparison to most states. We are seeing an approximately 8% unemployment rate, which again is very good for an economy of that size. We have seen record Chapter 11 bankruptcy filings, which is something that is really unfortunate. However, in a crisis like this, it is not uncommon to see things like that happen. It's a horrific shame for those companies that are struggling and are going through Chapter 11, but we aren't seeing any real out of the norm parameters, as it were. Texas' economy is growing. As I've said before, it's growing at a decent rate. I think it was 1.7% growth over last quarter, and we are also seeing a very good piece of news. I just took a look over at the Houston Chronicle, and I found a very positive article, simply headlined, "The Texas economy is booming, leaving big rigs in a bind for places to park." It's basically just showing you how busy, how much hustle and bustle Texas is having. We are seeing goods imported and exported from Texas. We are seeing incredible growth, especially in the service sectors. Men, women getting hired on. We are seeing a housing, overall good, stable housing growth, approximately 2.4% growth over the last quarter. Again, great for tradesmen, carpenters, framers, HVAC workers, things like that. We're seeing good, positive trends in the trucking industry. Taxes are overall pretty steady. Last time I checked. It's very difficult to find. Like I said, I live in Idaho, so our infrastructure is a little different. So sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm going into, but I try and look at these things as deeply as I can. But it's interesting because we are seeing a lot of focus on certain states during this COVID-19 pandemic. There's a lot of emphasis on states like New York, states like Texas, and states like California. These three big ones, and Florida as well, so these four big ones are catching a lot of news, and sometimes it's hard to sift through that and figure out what is worth reading, what is old news, and what is just, basically just a waste of time. And so it's very hard to sometimes get a proper picture of what's going on, because as we see in dieting and health trends, one day you'll see one thing, the next you'll see something completely different. So the trends are good. The economy is growing, housing is growing, trucking is growing, taxes remain stable. I'm talking about tax collections and whatnot. Chapter 11s are up, unfortunately. But relative to the other factors involved, like I said, taxation, consumer spending, and whatnot, we're seeing pretty stable economics coming from Texas. It's definitely something that I think that you would be smart to keep an eye on. Texas is, like I said, growing in many different ways, specifically housing and government labs, defense contractors. It's very, very an important hub for industry there. So these areas, these specific states, are almost always going to have a certain level of immunity to, let's say, outside interference. Texas has some very serious blessings in its oil and gas business, in its production, in its agriculture, in its, Elon Musk is starting to, I believe they finished building the SpaceX port down there. But Texas is one of those states that is, to a certain level, very resilient and very almost immune. It's a very, very fine line, so I'm not going to try and overuse that word. But Texas is doing very, very well by comparison to a lot of other states. We're also seeing a record of people moving there. Like the economy, they love the low taxation, they love the freedoms that a state like Texas provides, and it is, contrary to what reports say, a good place to start business. Would I recommend doing that now? Absolutely, go ahead, because you know what, you only live once, and you would regret it for the rest of your life if you don't at least try. What can we expect to see in the future? More of the same, in my estimation. Texas has always got a good name. It's always going to be the Lone Star State. The name sells itself. It is going to be a center for business and future businesses for decades to come. We are not going to see any significant change, no matter what Hurricane Laura, no matter what the coronavirus, no matter what all of these things throw at it. I think bigger emphasis should be focused on so-called flyover states, the Midwest. I think we should see better push, an economic push, coming from states like Texas, New York, California, and seeing if we can boost industry there. Wildfires have really ravaged California at the moment. They're suffering bad, and that's got a lot to do with forest mismanagement. It's got a lot to do with certain levels of disbanding of fire units over there. And so we're seeing California and Californian companies like CAL FIRE contracting out to companies again down in Texas. Companies that set up there for business and love the low tax bracket, which is good. But this one's a little short today, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. If there was something in there that you like, please let me know in the comments below. If there's something in there that I got wrong, please let me know as well, and I will happily correct that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.